界交替的意外，像彼此的阻碍，控制对你的依赖。琥珀树木的掩盖，把欢呼声承载，打造最好的状态。风吹过的颜色散发到瞳孔，谁听懂？谁歌咏？对你的偏执剩下孤勇，希望中的火种。你逆着光而来，你沉浸在花海，你留下我站在海中央。你逆着光而来，你打开了雾霭，你这次选择站在原地徘徊。轮流运动的时代，重生后的崩坏，守候最后的忍耐。雨滴落的天空迸发出汹涌，谁听懂？谁接中？对你的期望千疮百孔，是一剑锋未落。你逆着光而来，你沉浸在花海，你留下我站在海中央。你逆着光而来，你打开了雾霭，你这次选择站在原地徘徊。剪接出的画面，模糊的视线。你逆着光而来，你沉浸在花海，你留下我站在海中央。你逆着光而来，你打开了雾霭，你这次选择站在原地徘徊。
Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. Today, I want to talk about China and the zombie apocalypse. Actually, that's the venue that I'm using to chat about and the subject matter that I'm using to chat about, but it is not really what I'm chatting about. To understand how China would handle a zombie apocalypse, it tells you plenty about why China is so successful in handling the coronavirus. You see, guys, China is not these massive suburbs of isolated houses and isolated farms and fields, but rather it's clusters of communities. Each community is surrounded by a gate. And while there's multiple gates within a community, during a period of strife or conflict, the alert goes out and volunteers man those gates and only shut them all down except for one main gate, which is handled by the Bao'an, or the security guards, supplemented by the volunteers. As I have discussed before, China relies heavily on volunteers to do things. So in a housing complex or in a community, you have not only the paid workers, the guards, the baoans, the maintenance workers, the janitorial staff, and all that, but you also have this large network of volunteers. Perhaps you know them by another name, Communist Party members. That ring a bell? Or evil Chi-Coms. Does that ring a bell? Yeah, that's what they go by over in the United States. They're called evil Chi-Coms. You can see them. They're wearing the pink and red vests that says volunteer on the back. These are the people that volunteer their time, volunteer their property for the good of the community. They're also the ones that are allowed to vote. If you're not willing to give up your time and devote your efforts to the well-being of the community, you cannot vote in China. It's just like the movie Starship Troopers, and I have another video on that subject completely. But let's get back to the zombie apocalypse, shall we? So here we have a community of perhaps 6 buildings and maybe 100 so families, each family having maybe from 2 members to 8 members. We'll average it out. Say 6 members, 100 families, that's 600 people. The buildings are all located in more or less a circle. So obviously you can't get into the complex through a building. You have to go through a gate. And those buildings are connected by fences. Different complexes have different fences. They are certainly able to withstand any zombie hordes. Not like The Walking Dead, that the zombies knock down the prison fences. No, no, no. These are hard steel bars. I tell you what. Were there hordes of zombies outside the headquarters of each complex, which is manned by the security guards known as baoans? You can tell who they are. They're wearing black that says Baoan Security on the back of them. They communicate by radio and everything, and access to the little community is controlled by QR. So you have to take your cell phone and you have to prove that you're not a zombie on it. Or in the case of coronavirus, that you're not infected. If you are infected, they don't allow you in. If you raise a stink, they will hold you and call the police. The police will cart you off. A lot of misunderstandings about China, and of course you're never going to hear this side of the story, but this is how it's done, this is how it's handled. Each complex is a walled community like a fort back in the medieval times, with walls. Don't have moats, but you're sure as hell not going to crawl over a one-story tall wall, are you? No, I don't think so. And the zombies can't make it either. Of course, surrounding this entire complex is a network of cameras. Everything in China is monitored. For each complex, it's monitored by the security forces, and they always have 2 people monitoring the banks of cameras for suspicious and odd abilities. And of course, there's cameras throughout the various security guard stations. But all of this is connected to the local police, which is all monitored by artificial intelligence. So were there to be a zombie outbreak, not only would the local community be aware of it, but also the local Chinese police would be aware of it. And they have procedures and protocols that they would follow in order to handle this outbreak of zombie apocalypse. Oh, mistakes happen. Sometimes you're overwhelmed, like Shanghai, a city with a population of 23 million. I don't know. It's almost the size of Texas in population. Would you say it's a pretty big city? I would think so. Being a little sarcastic to you Americans out there who don't know jack shit. I know jack shit. Nice guy. And,
我复仇许罪鸣笛，怎叹残月照剑影，染风雪吹满衣，饮一腔诗意。我徒手摘星一串，妖精轻唤渡人间，托红颜说思念，偶得一两篇。念君姓名，千百遍热忱，今年再重逢又不敢相认。醉叹世连天起风，人独自黄昏，看暮色沉沉，天地荒太深，直到是风雪夜归人。醉一时十里春风，人年桃花红，任流言驰骋，吹不散两人醉往事心上伤痕。我复仇许罪鸣笛，怎叹残月照剑影，染风雪吹满衣，饮一腔诗意。我徒手摘星一串，妖精轻唤渡人间，托红颜说思念，偶得一两篇。念君姓名，千百遍热忱，今年再重逢又不敢相认。醉叹世连天起风，人独自黄昏，看暮色沉沉，天地荒太深，直到是风雪夜归人。醉一时十里春风，人年桃花红，任流言驰骋，吹不散两人醉往事心上伤
And of course, depending upon the situation and resources, the local militia, the police or the local militia would be called up. And basically how it works is the local bawans, the local security for each complex is first responders. Second responders is the local police. Third responders is the local militia. Fourth level responses are the PLA. Depending upon the circumstances, the level of response would be metered out appropriately. And that's how China does things. And you can see that in coronavirus today. And as I have said repeatedly, and I'm going to continue to say repeatedly, China takes coronavirus seriously and they treat it as a biological weapons attack. You don't have to agree with the Chinese philosophy behind this. All you have to do is accept that that's how they're handling it and why they are handling it. Now, obviously, if you're from the West, you don't know the full story and the extent of why they came to this conclusion. I have covered it elsewhere. It's very damning towards the United States. But we're not going to cover that here. Instead, we're going to talk about zombie apocalypse. And so China has had a long history, certainly decades at least, of carpet bombing by biological weapons. And so they know how to handle this, and they have set up systems in place. These systems are perfect for repelling a zombie attack. It's almost the same thing. If you're infected by a zombie, you have to have early detection. Well, in China, early detection is done by a network of thermal scanners that are located in all public areas and in entrances to all communities. Further, you have to have QR code. It's an identifier to determine your status of whether you're infected by coronavirus or a zombie bite. It's the same thing. You want a green code, a go code. If you don't, you have an orange code. An orange code is not desirable. That means there's a potential that a zombie bit you, or that you were in an area that was infected by zombies or infected by coronavirus. Same thing. If you have a red code, it means you should be in a quarantine center ASAP. Moment you flip on your phone and it shows red, the police are automatically notified and your GPS locations are automatically radioed to them. It's all instantaneous. It's all handled adroitly. It's all handled professionally. And those of you who are living in societies that don't know how to handle emergencies, who think everything is just a minor cold, are totally unaware that the strains of coronavirus in the West is completely different than the strains of coronavirus that are hitting China. This ignorance is going to hurt you. But for some reason, the nations in the West want you to be ignorant, which is why my videos have been censored. And I've explained that in another video, why they censor it and why the United States felt the need to buy up all the Chinese media and forbid it to be distributed in the West. I've already discussed that matter. I won't dwell on it. They just want to keep you isolated and then throw out a fire hose narrative towards you for you to believe. And many do. Why? They're so enraptured with the idea of fighting for Nazis that they're going to the Ukraine and getting their legs, dicks, and eyes blown off. Yeah, it really works, doesn't it? I don't see Michael Bloomberg without a dick, without eyesight, do you? Maybe he should have a taste of what their environment is that he's creating. I've written articles on that too. It's all about how to build a hangsman's noose, as well as the technique in tarring and feathering officials. Certainly people, and I'm digressing, I know I'm digressing, but certainly people, don't you think that if there was ever a need for tarring and feathering of officials, now is the time where people need to be marching on Washington? Now is the time? So I tell you, what's stopping you? What's stopping you? Fear, control. You're just panty-aced assholes. Want to complain? Throw popcorn at the screen in the movie theater. You don't want to get up and do anything. You might be labeled a sex offender and be stripped off because of your thoughts. Well, don't worry. Your thoughts are now going to be measured by the Department of Thought Police. That's It's just set up by President Biden, you know, to make America safe and for national security. Right? But let's get back to zombie apocalypse in China. When zombie apocalypse is hitting the entire world, it's China who's going to survive it. Zombies are going to run roughshod all over America. They're going to be running all over these nice suburban lawns, crawling into houses and taking over. You've seen that in many a flick, but you never see any zombie flicks in China. That's because it'd be pretty dull. Zombies would be killed on sight. China doesn't play, and people would be safe. Alert would go out on your cell phone, say stay inside, people would stay inside. And they don't complain because they know the government is working on their behalf. Imagine that. Imagine a government that works on your behalf. Well, that's China. I know you don't want to hear it because they're Chi-coms, evil Chi-coms. You just listen to what's these people? Tucker Carlson? Just listen to them about the evil Chi-coms, right? Nice cardboard, black and white cardboard cutout. You really like that, don't you? I know. I get it. Zombie apocalypse, everybody wants to prepare, and everybody has ideas on how to prepare for a zombie apocalypse. Lots of guns, food, preparation. And then we have something, a real version. A biological attack hits your country. How can you handle it? All those guns are going to help you? As I've repeatedly said, World War III is a stealth war. It's now been going on for about 10 years. And, of course, the media is not reporting anything. It is elaborating on lies and bullshit narratives. The Ukraine has, 2% of its military left. Those that are operating the military are conscripts, old men in their 30s and 40s, middle-aged guys with paunches and balding hair like me. No young guys anymore. And they're supposed to operate all these systems that are being thrown in, billion here, billion there, billion there. What they're throwing in there is just all types of junk that people don't know how to operate. Like sabers and muskets, horse bridles, cannonballs. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to change your news sources, okay? I would recommend you start reading The Saker. It's written by some Russians who immigrated to the United States, speak good English, even though with an accent. They're former Soviet military with experience. Read MOA from Bernard, that's Moon over Alabama. I also sometimes reprint some of his articles. Very, very good technical analysis on things that's going on. Michael at the Economic Collapse blog, he writes good stuff about what's going on domestically in the United States. His work is outstanding. He has, I'll say, had a tendency to believe that everything that happens in the United States is being duplicated in the world. Well, that's wrong, and I think he has since corrected that. The amount of economic collapse is tied with the US dollar. It's not tied with the world. Nevertheless, aside from that faux pas, and it's a minor faux pas, the guy's work is exquisite. I highly recommend Michael at the Economic Collapse blog. Google it. You need to find these other alternative sources for media. I sometimes read America, Amerika. It's got a very, very conservative bent, and that's okay. But, you know, I really get turned off when they're saying, well, it's Russia this and it's China that and the world's coming to be under. But if you want to know what's going on domestically in the United States and about social justice warrior stuff going on, you know, it's a pretty decent blog. Of course, the Woodpile Report is long gone. I used to communicate with the guy, but you know, we all get old, and after his family, his wife died, and then he died shortly afterwards. Too bad. I was only reading it for about 9 months before that all transpired. That's life sometimes, you know? You miss the good things. How many blogs and how many organizations are out there that I'm missing right now? Who knows? I used to watch Alex Jones, but man, poor Alex guy. He needs to go out and travel the world a little bit. He's way too caught up in the American echo chamber. And that's true with a lot of people. But I'm digressing here, okay? The point is, and the reason why I'm talking about here is zombie apocalypse is the same as coronavirus outbreak. It's the same. And China's handling a coronavirus outbreak is the same as saying there will be no zombies walking on our streets. Whereas in America, they're saying, zombies aren't that bad. We can accept zombies. We can be friends with zombies. What you just need to do is take a pole and push them off to the side. And their bite really doesn't do anything. Just put a little bit of mercurochrome methylate. Oh, I'm sorry, it's banned in the United States. Just put some, just wash it clean and put a bandage on it, right? That's the American way. Zombies don't hurt you. Just be friends with them. Just keep them away at arm's length, that's all. And if you suspect you're being bit by a zombie, why don't you just take the time home, ask your boss for some time off, and beg for him, okay? I'm laughing about it because it really is funny. Those of you who think that coronavirus is just a virus are in the Western echo chamber and have no idea what you're dealing with. America didn't spend billions of dollars developing bioweapons not to use them. I know the United States government is very inefficient, but that is a level of inefficiency that I find ludicrous. And so, hey, so zombie pox happens and it hits China. China just locks up and it's all individual communities, and each community fights those zombies one by one. One by one, and everybody takes part, from the little kids to the old people. Everybody knows what to do. There's always a zombie poking stick around where you can go, and people are trained from kindergarten in groups of 3 how to take down a zombie. You think I'm being kidding, huh? It's China for you. You want to get on a bus? They check to see if you're a zombie. If you got a green QR, you get on the bus. You wear your zombie-proof mask. Can't get on the bus without your zombie-proof mask. It's China for you. I've had a couple of businessmen, a couple of customers, they tell me Well, New Zealand says it's not a problem anymore, so they want to come over to China and want me to arrange some tours of some factories for them. I'm like, I would love to have you come on over. You arrive, there's going to be 2 weeks mandatory at a quarantine facility, followed by 2 weeks mandatory stay at the hotel of your choice. Both of those you'll have to pay for. But once you get out, I will be happy to provide you with masks and hand sanitizers during your stay here. He says, no, 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 no. I cannot afford that. I do not want to do that. I was like, okay. I'm willing to host you when you come. Just be aware that just because New Zealand is following the Western idea that there is no such thing as coronavirus, China takes it very seriously.
桥畔凉雨如烟，花落被尘埃笑倏然。风吹轻纱，珠帘满卷，灵动如是几篇。年少自是春风不开，抖得浮生一上贪欢。夜泊提灯，孤声凭栏，无人轻声一言。长叹流年都在你眉眼，些许我原本落雪初携手共看，暂比不成事，我念当轻叹，临窗各一盘，愿落絮自偏。桥畔凉雨如烟，花落被尘埃笑倏然。风吹轻纱，珠帘满卷，灵动如是几篇。年少自是春风不开，抖得浮生一上贪欢。夜泊提灯，孤声凭栏，无人轻声一言。长叹流年都在你眉眼，些许我原本落雪初携手共看，暂比不成事，我念当轻叹，临窗各一盘，愿落絮自偏。流年都在你眉眼，些许我原本落雪初携手共看，暂比不成事，我念当轻叹，临窗各一盘，愿落絮自偏。
People can relate to zombies because of Hollywood. Lots of zombie movies out there. We all know how you would handle a zombie attack. But the real life is not Hollywood. You should never judge and make decisions upon what you see in movies. And most especially, you should never, ever, ever use Hollywood movies as an ideal for part of your affirmation campaigns. You listen to me, guys. Don't do it. You're going to regret it. So don't judge Hollywood to be a reflection of reality. The American military is not Rambo. It's more like the scene from the movie Southern Comfort, where a bunch of National Guardsmen go to the bayou on maneuvers and get lost. I gotta tell you, I hate when the air conditioner is blowing directly on me. It's a good way of getting a cold. Especially with the mung that grows on these filters. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. I try to get these filters clean, but you've got to make sure that you clean your filters. You don't have to do it every single year, but you got to make sure you clean the damn filters. When I was training in Ridgecrest, California, we had these things called evaporative coolers. Slang is swamp coolers, but basically what you do is you trickle water through a medium and then blow air through it. And the psychometric properties causes a cooling of the air. It does. And your house is nice and cool. It's cheap. It's just a motor running water. It's cheap. It's not like a air conditioner that uses a lot of power for a condenser. But if you don't clean them, they get all kinds of mung, and you can get some serious respiratory sicknesses. So you got to make sure you get these things cleaned. Oh, okay, I'm digressing. Oh, yeah. So anyways, what you really want to do is make sure that you're well prepared for zombie attacks or biological attacks. That's called a harmless flu. Beware of when the government tells you it's a harmless flu, right? Beware when the government says whatever the government's saying. Did you know, you've been reading on the news, that Europe and America has just seized all of Russia's assets, from yachts to money to gold to everything in Europe. And they don't think that there's going to be repercussions to this. And China says, or Russia says, I tell you what, you want anything of mine, you pay in my currency now, or give me gold. And for a while there, it looked like some of the things were still flowing, some gas was still flowing, some things were still flowing. That's all ended with severe punishments for anybody trading over in these nations that stole anything from Russia. What's going to result of that? Oh, serious bad stuff, that's for certain. Serious bad stuff's going to happen. I cannot see anything but starvation. Rolling brownouts. Freezing. Europe is not designed for people to go down the street and get a lump of coal to heat the house anymore. Europe is not ready to go to the neighborhood, go to the backyard and pick up some plants. You make sure that you all are prepared. Southern Europe is going to do much better than Northern Europe. But Germany, Poland, Luxembourg, Norway, guys are going to be hurting. Switzerland, you guys are going to be hurting. I can't imagine that you're all ready for the fiasco that you're about to get. In the United States, there's some funky things going on. Mysterious destruction of warehouses, serious cutbacks on fertilizer, delayed planting, if any. It's all has the makings for famine, guys. If the zombies don't kill you, then the diseases they bring with them will. So there's things going on, okay? Now they're talking about, there's some bills just passed last week about China. If you have any proof that China is helping Russia, we're going to sanction China. Some bill, by some Democrat and Republican bipartisan Idiots. China knows what to do already. You don't want to be on the bad side of China. You could be on the bad side of Russia, but you can't be on the bad side of China. China will eat you up and spit you out. I don't think I have ever been able to convey to the people in the West just how dangerous China is. China's a dragon that looks like a cute, cuddly panda. China wants peace. China does do peace. But if you think, and that's the way of the mentality of the rulers, the leaders in the West, they're mistaking politeness for weakness. They're mistaking pause. They're mistaking caution as a sign of weakness. Because the people who are in the West, who are leaders, have never run projects, have never dealt with other people and other cultures, and they don't want to. And that tells you all you need to know why they're doing what they're doing. They have no experience. You trying to tell me Kamala Harris has experience? Would you classify her as savvy? Would you classify Joe Biden, with all of his years of experience in the Senate, as savvy, knowledgeable, capable, robust, intelligent? Or would these adjectives describe him? I'm asking. You Americans in the audience, is that how you would describe him? I wouldn't. But then again, I have my own biases. I'm asking you. Is that how you would describe the leadership? So guys, using the analogy of zombies and coronavirus, I think we can see clearly that China is handling coronavirus quite well, since it believes and that there should be no zombies walking around in society at all. That differs from the Western narrative, which is we can live with zombies. Knowing what I know about the West, pretty soon they'll have zombies voting. And if they can't pull the lever, don't worry, an assigned, trustworthy government employee will pull the lever for them. You can deny it or not. A virus does exist. It's novel, it's new. These novel and new viruses have been hitting China regularly lately. Food, crops, and everything. And the impression that you get if you're from the West is that, well, of course it's hitting China because China's dirty and filthy. China isn't dirty, isn't filthy. It's a modern society, more modern than the United States, certainly more modern than Japan. There ain't nothing else in the world looks like it. And while you may see Shenzhen, or actually you probably don't see pictures of Shenzhen, but you probably see pictures of Shanghai. It looks pretty impressive, but I want to tell you guys, that's all of China, not just the cities. So what we're seeing right now is zombie outbreaks all over the world, and the West has decided to live with the zombies because, after all, they're friendly and they just need some understanding. There was a Walking Dead. Those of you who ever watched The Walking Dead know the episode that I'm talking about, where there was a daughter. She was a daughter of the one veterinarian who was with the trope. And the daughter was convinced that, I think this was the second or third season, and the daughter was convinced that the zombies weren't really dead. They were just a evolutionary change, and that the people were still alive within these animated bodies. We just didn't understand them. And because of that, she killed her sister. And she herself had to be killed. I don't know if it was a season 2, 3, or 4, I forget. Actually, I stopped watching Walking Dead after season 6. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it, but then life took its turns, and I lost interest in watching it, paying attention. I did enjoy watching it, but and then when coronavirus hit, it was the real thing, so no need to watch science fiction. Yes, Chinese society is all segmented. China says that we need to block things up and communities shut down because each community is a bubble. In America, there's no communities like that. You don't have communities that can wall itself off because it's all open. It's all open. It's all open. So you can't really control an outbreak. You have to surround the entire community with fencing and wires. Not so in China. You don't have to do any of that. You just close a gate. China is community after community after community. That's the way it works. And yeah, so that's the reality, guys. And that's my take on how China would handle
Part of a community.
zombie. Do your best. And at that, guys, I want to end up with my basic words of advice. Be good. Smile. Make a difference in the world that you live in. Be good to dogs, cats. Be helpful. Be the Rufus. Participate. Don't be a spectator. And when the situation calls, take action. And at that, guys, remember,